Hello everyone, and welcome to Collection Reflection. Today we will be reflecting on Dragon Star's 4th Form Frieza, the new and improved version. And before we even take a look at the packaging, I'm going to let you know if you should collect this figure or reflect it. At about a $20 price point, I would definitely collect this figure. Time to find out why. There we have the plastic window packaging, and here we can see a new edition of a picture of the character, as well as this nice looking name, Frieza 4th Form, and the logo. Very shiny. On the side we get some nice artwork. Here's the back of the box, and as you can see we're also getting a new, improved version of Beerus. The other side of the box has the same artwork, of course your top, and there your bottom. Before I even get into how awesome this figure looks, I will say that right out of the box, he is a loosey-goosey. Every single one of his joints is very, very loose, but it's not wiggly loose. It's just can't even really support itself kind of loose. But besides that issue with his joints, looking at the figure, this has to be one of the very best Dragon Star figures that have ever been released. I know that the original 4th Form Frieza was very popular and it came with a piece to build Shenron. This figure, however, does not. But he does come with a new and improved head sculpt. All the paint is so well done, it's very crisp. Even his purple lips, and there you can see the white for his teeth. The white for his teeth is actually a different white than his skin. And those eye lines are very well done. They used a really nice metallic shiny purple for all of his armory bits. And his torso seems to be much shinier and glossier than the rest of the body, which is a little weird, but it still looks so good. You can see that they even painted the nails on all of his fists. And down to his toes. They even sculpted the underside of his foot, which I thought that was really nice. Yeah, I just can't get over how great this figure looks, especially with those red eyes, they just pop right at you. He just looks like he's ready to betray anybody in his way. Let's check out his articulation. Other than being extremely loose, his articulation is just about the same as any other Dragon Star or other Frieza that you might already own. His head can go 360. Unfortunately, there's almost no back and almost no forward, and no tilt either. He does have ball joints in his shoulders, so it gives him this butterfly motion. His arms can basically go vertical, and they can also rotate 360. He has tight bicep rotation, which might be the only tight joint on this whole figure. Double jointed pinned elbows. He has very dynamic wrists that can turn in almost any single direction that he wants them to be in. And his hands are interchangeable, so they are on their own swivel. He has a 360 waist rotation. He doesn't really get any kind of back, and barely any forward, but he does get some side to side. Very loose drop down hips. With the drop down he can kick forward and back about that far without them going off to the side. He can do the splits out about that far. He does have a well hidden thigh rotation, double jointed pinned knees. His ankles are just like his wrists, so he can get that far down, that far back, and he even has pivot. His tail is on a similar joint to his wrists and ankles. It can go up about that far, go back down about that far, 360, and it can turn in and out. And he has a swivel at the tip of his tail. I think he has a fantastic amount of articulation, and even though he's very loose, it almost helps him seem more fluid with his movements. Let's check out the accessories he comes with. Along with the 2 fists that come on the figure, he's going to come with 2 open hands. You can see the paint on the middle finger right there is a little bit off-centered, but I think for all the fingers, and that's the only one that's messed up, I got pretty lucky. And he only comes with a right-handed pointing finger for his attacks. Here's what the extra hands look like on the figure. Here's a better look at that wrist joint so you can see that it rotates all on its own and also has a hinge. I always get very worried when I'm interchanging these hands because I feel like that wrist hinge is going to snap. So just be careful as you try to change his hands. Let's check out some comparisons. Here are the other two Dragon Star Friezas I have in my collection. We have the first form and his golden form. I think they all scale very well together. I know that first form Frieza is supposed to be the smallest, and golden Frieza should be a little bit taller than the rest. So I think this Frieza fits in wonderfully. Here's Frieza standing next to a couple of the other major villains from Dragon Ball Z. We have Cell and Kid Buu. And again, I think this scale works out pretty well. And for our last Dragon Stars comparison, we have Cooler, Frieza's brother, and Frieza's best friend, Krillin. They go to the same barber. I'm surprised with all the new forms Frieza has had since this one. He hasn't tried to come up with something of similar size to Cooler. I guess he's trying to prove that he doesn't need to be big to be bad. For some 6-inch comparisons, we have G.I. Joe Classified's Spirit Iron Knife and Crocmaster. From Power Rangers Lightning Collection, we have Morphed Ryu and Lord Draken. For a 5-inch comparison, we have the Dragon Ball Evolves, Gogeta, and Goku Blue. From the new wave of the Ultimate Legend series, we have Zenitsu and Tanjiro from Demon Slayer. For the 3 3/4-inch scale, we have the Vintage Collections Boba Fett and Emperor Palpatine. If Frieza was in the Star Wars universe, do you think anyone would stand a chance? From the Shoto series, we have Vegeta Blue and Golden Frieza. From the final faction, we have General Diabol and the Synthoid. And for the final comparison, Pumpkin Rapper's head.
5 minutes. That's how long you have.
As I already said, I think this figure is amazing, and it's definitely worth the $20 that they're asking. I like the extra hands that he comes with. Of course, it would have been great to have an energy effect, but that's just icing on the cake. I don't have the previous release of this character, so I can't say if this is an overall improvement. All I know is as a standalone figure, you definitely need to go and collect this. When looking for ways to enhance this figure, I've always wanted them to fix this tail. I don't like that it's just stuck in this S shape. And I think the swivel that they put here is practically useless, because all you can do is just turn the tip of it, and that doesn't really change anything about the tail. I would have preferred if they would have put the swivel here in the middle of the curve. I think that would have helped with more dynamic posing. So I've been wanting to cut the tail myself and either put a small screw or some other kind of object to help give this a new swivel. But since this is my only copy of this figure, and I really don't want to mess him up, I'm just not going to do that yet. The other enhancement I plan on making is fixing all of these loose joints. I know that there's multiple different methods on how you can tighten joints for your action figures. The one that I usually go with is floor polish. Just take an eyedropper and squeeze a couple of drops of floor polish into whatever joint you want to tighten up, and make sure you work the joint so that you get the floor polish all the way through, and then leave it overnight to dry. That should help stiffen up the joint. I want to thank all of you so much for watching. I really appreciate that you stick it out to this point in the review. I know not everybody makes it, but for those of you who actually do, it means the world to me. If you enjoyed this video, you know what I'm going to have to ask you to do. Please make sure you like and subscribe and share and all those other fun things. Also check out my social medias. I hope you all have a nice chuckle. And try to be kind to somebody, because it could really change their life. I'll talk to you next time.